everyone, and welcome to Zelda Informer Reacts. This is our very first discussion video ever released at Zelda Informer. We're here to talk about the brand new Zelda game, the re-released Zelda game coming to 3DS, and a little bit from Miyamoto on Zelda U. Lots of stuff to get to. We want to rush through it and cover everything we can and give you our instant reactions to this stuff today on June 16th, the first day of E3. With me, oh, by the way, I'm Nathaniel Rumpeljans, your editor-in-chief. And with me is our news editor, Darren. Say hi, man.
Hey.
And one of our new copy editors, Ryan, is with us today.
How's it going, guys?
All right. So, we're going to hop right into the big one. The big one, the unexpected. No one saw this coming, and people don't know how to react. Some are very angry. Some are very happy. It is Triforce Heroes, and yes, I purposely said that slow because Triforce is 2 words. So
I'm bugged about that.
Darren, why don't you tell us how bugged about that you are?
I'm just sort of a grammar Nazi, and I've always spelt Triforce. Triforce, one word. And when you separate it, it just doesn't set right in my mind. I mean, I get that it's kind of like a play on words. You know, there's 3 heroes, so try, 3. But it just doesn't sit right with me as a writer.
As a fan, I think it bugs me. Even if I might be wrong, I still think I've always been saying Triforce is 1 word as opposed to 2.
Oh, yes. And that's understandable. Obviously, we're all Zelda fans, and Triforce is a universal term that's been used in almost every single Zelda game out there. So it is a little weird that they split it up. But moving beyond the name, which I think we can all agree, it's one of those silly plays, just like they did with the Wii U. It's a Wii for you. I don't know. It was really weird marketing for that, which I feel this name falls in the same category. Ryan, give me your impressions. What did you think? The trailer pops up in the Nintendo Digital event, and you're like, okay, what is this?
That was actually my first reaction. I mean, to be honest, I was just like anyone that was watching live. They were not expecting that. I was definitely not expecting that. I literally started yelling at my TV. I was streaming it on YouTube, and I just couldn't. I wasn't ready for that. I was pleasantly surprised, of course, but at the same time, I was taken aback by okay, this is kind of like 4 Swords. I don't know what to expect from this. The combat's all different, and it's out there, I guess is the polite way of putting it.
Yeah, Darren, what do you think about the combat after you had a chance to see some more videos of it?
The combat, I really like the combat style, especially how for the boss we saw, you have to use the totem mechanic, which seems like it's replaces the wall merging mechanic of A Link Between Worlds. In every Zelda game there's a different mechanic, and that one I think is going to be really useful for combat, especially for bosses like the one we saw.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
When I saw this pop up, in the stream, my first reaction was, "Holy crap! Nintendo just dropped a bombshell," because I wasn't expecting anything except, the Hyrule Warriors port. So it kind of went on, and we've been handling, me, Ryan, Darren, all of us at Zelda Informer, we were handling getting all the posts out about it, and getting, I think we had over 50 posts already today.
At least, yeah.
And a lot of it was on this game, and it seemed that a lot of reactions to it were kind of tepid. Fans were, really upset that thinking that this is supposed to be a Zelda U replacement or a Tide Me Over game, which I don't really think that's the case. I think if Zelda U was coming out, this game was coming out anyways. Even if Zelda U was coming this year. The game itself, it looked... It kind of looked like everything I've wanted Zelda to always experiment with. If you think about it, it features online multiplayer. And previously, online multiplayer, which we've gotten in games like Fat and Hourglass, it's just been for mini-games. Collecting Triforce gems. And even in 4 Swords Adventures, it was always a competition. You were trying to get a higher score, collect more Force gems than your players. This game seems really about cooperative gameplay, where you really need to work together to tackle puzzles and defeat enemies. And not just the totem mechanic. There was, in the Nintendo Treehouse stream, there was this one dungeon where they had all 3 players doing something different. One was shooting arrows at the Tektites that were jumping on the pillars. Another was up down on the floor throwing bombs. Another one was trying to distract the bomb enemy, making it fly at him so his partner could throw the bombs in it. It was a lot of teamwork there, and that's just not something we're used to seeing in Zelda. It's always been that solo experience, outside, unless you want to count the Tingle Tuner dropping bombs on people. So, Ryan, what did you think about the fact that this is an online multiplayer game?
Yeah, to be quite honest, I don't have a 3DS. I used to have a DS Lite way back when. I never got around to purchasing the latest model, but I was sort of, in a sense, disappointed just because, like, if I didn't have anyone else who has a 3DS as part of my group of friends, I wouldn't be able to have that local sort of like, okay, I'm going here. It's like when you're playing, like, I hate to relate this to Call of Duty because people are going to get mad at me for this, but it's like when you're playing zombies on your couch and, like, you're with your friend and you're just like, okay, let's go here or let's go there and, like, let's get taking care of that. And that's what I noticed and I really appreciated about the Treehouse gameplay footage that we all saw today. But for me, at least, I was hoping a little bit more for a more robust single-player campaign as opposed to a more cooperative one. I like the fact that it brought it out. It looks really cool, but for me, I always found Zelda to be a very personal, one-on-one experience, like with Twilight Princess and Skyward Sword.
Yeah, I totally agree. There are instances where you felt like this game was meant to play by multiplayer. Now, they did announce that you can rent, I think they call them paper dolls or whatever. Basically, it's just like in Four Swords Adventures where you could play by yourself. You control them, you make them go in the different formations, and you could switch between control of the 3 different links. There's no confirmation on what they're calling the characters yet on the screen, and do everything yourself without needing partners. Now, Darren, what did you think about the fact that, this is an online multiplayer game. It's, really experimental for the Zelda series, but, are you happy they're even letting the single-player aspect into it?
Personally, I think single player is mandatory because, I'm not always with my friends. I don't always have an internet connection. The 3DS is a handheld system. I'm always on the go with it. And so single player just seems mandatory to me because, if you're out and about, you don't have friends to play with. But then again, if you have multiplayer and you're at your home with a bunch of friends, then you can play it with them. It's a balance of both that needs to be in every game that chooses to have multiplayer. There needs to be both single player and multiplayer.
Totally agreed. So let's give a little arbitrary ranking. This really means nothing because none of us have played the game. We do have a team at E3 who has played the game. They're going to give us lots of impressions and videos later. But right now, Ryan, what would you give this reveal?
Out of
a 10.
Out of 10?
Yes.
I would probably give it a 7.5, 7.75, maybe somewhere in that region, just because, I appreciated the shock factor. No one was expecting that, and I literally almost threw my computer off my lap when we were trying to talk about this in the thread that we all have. But I was taken aback, but at the same time, I was like, oh, it's nothing really. There are new elements, but it's still more of the same, and I wasn't very keen on that. I've always loved Four Swords and that sort of aspect to the Zelda gameplay and the Zelda franchise, but at the same time, I would have much rather have seen something on the Wii U or something a little bit more involved and in-depth and immersive than that.
All right, and Darren, what would you rank it?
This is a hard one. Personally, without playing it, my base impression would probably give it a 8.5 rating, only because I like to see new things in the Zelda series. The multiplayer just seems fun to me. Usually when you play Zelda, it's not multiplayer, except in the case of Four Swords. And I'm glad that they're bringing back that mechanic, especially in a 3DS Zelda game where really multiplayer belongs, because you can take it other places, like to your friend's house and play there if they can't come to you.
Yeah, it's actually kind of cool because they included download play, so your friends don't even need to own it; they just have to have a 3DS.
Exactly.
So beyond that, when I was looking at giving this a rating, there's 2 ways I looked at this. One, if they had a Zelda U trailer and they had revealed this right before the Zelda U trailer, I feel like the reaction would be more positive. So I feel like I would probably give it a 9.5. The problem I have is that this was the surprise. This was the big, that we had the Hyrule Warriors stuff leaked last week. So this was their big Zelda surprise. And I'm very happy with it because I want, I did a whole series on how I want Zelda to be expanding into more side games and more experimental games. I did a Bossman episode on that. And this kind of feels like it's fitting into that. It's trying the Four Swords formula again, except online, and trying to do real Zelda dungeons with it.
And it's 3 sword adventures.
Yes, it's 3 sword adventures. I'm not sure why there's 3 instead of 4. Well, right, they said that stacking 4 on top of each other as a totem didn't look good or something. I don't know. That was the weird excuse they gave on why it's 3 instead of 4. But
it's also harder to get 3 friends together. Or 4.
Taking it, yeah. Mm-hmm. And taking it at face value. Well, with online, it's not that hard. I mean, just at Zelda Informer, we could all team up and play.
Well, I'm talking about local co-op.
Yeah. And I think that's why they emphasized online, because they know not everyone has friends that can come over and play. Mm-hmm. But for me, just based on the announcement itself and nothing else, I think I'd probably give it a solid 7. I know there's a lot of fans that be like, oh, it's a 2, it's a 1. You got to give the game a chance. I understand it's reusing assets, but so did Majora's Mask.
Right, that makes more sense.
Even the Four Swords games, you can argue they were reusing assets from the Minish Cap. It's not new and unique in that sense, but at the same time, I love Zelda. And this is something Zelda that I haven't played before and never experienced. And I'm excited to kind of give it a try. And, if you think about it, this game comes out in the fall of this year, they announced. And then the next game we're talking about, Hyrule Warriors Legends, that comes in Q1 of next year, so kind of the end of spring, beginning of summer next year. Probably right before E3. And then if everything goes as planned, I assume Zelda U is coming out on holiday 2016. So that gives us 3 games over the next year and a half. And, I mean, that's, to me as a Zelda fan, how can you not be happy about that, I guess? That's kind of where I stand with that. That's why I kind of give it a 7, just because it looks new, it looks fun, and it's different. And different's not always bad. I know people are afraid to change, but bring it on. It's not like this is happening, it's not like this is a mainline. Well, it could be a mainline entry. It could be part of the... What we could debate all day on if it's part of the timeline. But, it's not like it's a traditional entry. Like, they come back with Zelda U and they're like, yeah, now Zelda U is a 4-player multiplayer game. Like, that would probably be pretty bad.
Yeah, it wouldn't go over too well.
Yeah, I agree.
So if they're going to experiment with this, I think this is the perfect method to do it in, and then they can expand on it in the future. Maybe think about a Wii U version, kind of like they did Four Swords before Four Swords Adventures. So moving on, we also got Hyrule Warriors Legends, previously known as Hyrule Warriors 3DS. It appears to be everything that the Wii U Hyrule Warriors is. Might have some additional content for the story mode. Don't know. It does contain all of the DLC. We kind of knew this was coming, so the reaction for it was going to be, well, we already knew about this, so big whoop. What shocked me the most was the rename. I was trying to figure out why would they go with Hyrule Warriors Legends when it's really just the same game. I can't quite figure that out. What did you think, Darren?
Well, I think it's more of differentiating between the two. They don't want to confuse people. I mean, I definitely am puzzled why they decided to call it Legends, because in Japan, apparently it's being called Hyrule Warriors All-Stars.
That's interesting.
And the only reason... I understand the All-Stars, though, because it includes all the DLC, so all the extra characters. I still don't really know All-Stars, though. That feels like it should have, like, a crap load more characters then, right?
Yeah, like, what is this, Sony?
Right? Right? Oh.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. What did you think, Ryan?
To be honest, I've never played the Hyrule Warriors game just because I haven't been around to really like purchase a Wii U or anything like that. I've seen a couple friends play it, but very, very briefly, and like it looked great. It looked stunning. It looked amazing. It looked awesome. Like, you combine all these elements with like the God of War theme or like all this sort of stuff, and it's like crazy combat, amazing stuff. It's still a port to me, so I like the fact that, yeah, it can be on the go for a bunch of Nintendo fans, a bunch of Zelda fans, but at the end of the day, it's still a port. It's like what they're doing with Destiny, you know?
It's, you know, it's hard to get really excited about it since it was already spoiled.
Yeah.
But that really took away a lot of the buzz for me for it. The title was kind of the big, okay, we didn't know what the title was. And yeah, the trailer was mostly the same trailer that we've gotten before. We haven't seen a lot of gameplay about it yet. I don't believe they have a demo of it on the show floor, which is odd, but I'm assuming they'll probably throw some demos at Best Buy or something later this year.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I don't really have much to say about it just because I already own Hyrule Warriors. I've beaten Hyrule Warriors. I have not 100% all the DLC for it, but I played quite a bit of it. It's fun. I don't really want to do it all over again, if that makes sense, because it's a game that you have to sink hundreds of hours into, and I don't know if I really want to sink hundreds of hours in again. What I would have liked them to announce, and maybe this is just me, I would have liked them to announce that the game would transfer save states between the Wii U and the 3DS. I think that would make me more inclined to want to buy it. Now, obviously, I run Zelda Informer. I'm going to have the game anyways. They'll probably send it to me for free just because we're Zelda Informer. But it's one of those things that if I could transfer the save state from my Wii U to the 3DS, then I would definitely play it on the go. Because then it's really one combined game that I'm playing. So I'm playing it on the go, and then I could transfer it back to my Wii U when I'm playing at home. But I was kind of, they didn't do that, and I think it's like a really missed opportunity, that they didn't even consider. So it's the same game, and it's a port. Why not make it? Because it's really going to appeal to two crowds. One, the people who own the 3DS and don't own a Wii U, but really want to play Hyrule Warriors, just didn't want to pay an extra $200 to do so.
Exactly.
Or $300, I guess, if you don't know about the fact you can buy it online for $200.
Mm-hmm.
And then it'll also appeal to people who already own Hyrule Warriors, but they really want to take it on the go with them from time to time. And for that second crowd, it would have made sense to make, if it's the same game, and we've already seen the 3DS can exchange data in Smash Bros., why can't we exchange data here for this game? Like, it feels like the perfect opportunity to be like, hey, in the future, our systems are going to be more connected and everything, and this would have been a cool way to do it. This also brings the question, are we finally going to get Hyrule Warriors Amiibo?
Ooh, that is a tough question. I would hope so, at least. I mean, obviously would fly off store shelves because people would just go crazy for it.
Oh, I just want a tingle. That's it.
Oh, yeah.
That's all.
That'd be an awesome amiibo. Oh.
All right, so now they've got kind of into the realm of speculation. So that's pretty much our discussion. We're going to end it with one little tidbit, something we didn't expect to hear, at least expect to hear this soon. So earlier today, IGN reported that they had an interview with Miyamoto, supposedly. I'm saying supposedly because IGN took the post down, which isn't like them. Obviously, there had to be a mistake in it somewhere, but we don't know what that mistake was. That's why it makes this report really interesting. They did an interview with Miyamoto, and in that interview, Miyamoto stated, I don't have the quote in front of me, but I'm paraphrasing, that Zelda is still going to be coming out for the Wii U. That game still exists. It's still coming to the Wii U, which is a big deal for some because some feared they would just move it on to the NX and forget about Wii U people. And then he also stated that they already have footage ready for it, which people didn't react well to because if it's already ready, why can't we see it? And that they plan to show it at a future time, which you would assume it could be at the Game Awards like they did last year. Or they always do like a winter or late fall Nintendo Direct where they show off 2016 titles. It could be shown there too, or at a spring Direct next year, or at E3 next year, whenever they decide to show it.
I'm thinking Gamescom.
Yeah, could be.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Could be a Gamescom. I don't think it will be because Nintendo doesn't do anything special at Gamescom. They don't have a digital event or anything. They just have games on the show floor, and it's usually the exact same stuff they brought to E3. At least that's what they've done. That doesn't mean they can't change it. That's why I don't expect anything unless they announce something. And plus, they do all these Nintendo Directs. I don't know. But I feel like I was just shooting you in the foot, Darren. Sorry about that.
Oh, that's fine.
But no, so what did you think? Did you think it was wise? Let's assume that this report was 100% factual and that IGN just put it up too soon. Ryan, what did you think? Was this good news for you?
To be quite honest, I don't think that was the smartest idea based on IGN's post, and that's probably why they took it down, because they saw that Miyamoto said, "Oh yeah, we had footage ready, but you didn't show it at E3, you didn't show it during your conference." Obviously, that's going to upset people, and they just did the best for publicity, I guess. But at the same time, as far as the conference goes, I wasn't all that impressed compared to like anything else. But we're not here to discuss that. When it comes down to it, yeah, I get it. Yeah, you still want things to be perfect, but don't say something like that it's ready and like the fans have already seen this. Like you already kind of, yeah, as you said, shot yourself in the foot. It's kind of it's a catch-22, I guess.
And it was really difficult when I read that news. Now, I knew instantly that our fans would be interested in it, so we got on top of it and got it out before the report went down.
Right.
Because fans do want to know about Zelda U, and if we hear anything the rest of E3, you're going to find it here first on Zelda Informer. We're going to get it out to you. But, yeah, it upset me just a little bit, and I hate bringing up the conference because I don't want to give you guys, a negative reaction to the conference, because I was excited about the Zelda stuff and Star Fox and everything. Even the Metroid on 3DS I thought looked all right. But it was one of those, a lot of people were upset, especially that you didn't have a lot of Wii U games to show. You announced, like, oh, we're going to make this Wii U game, but we don't have anything to show for it. And that's kind of how the whole conference felt. So it was like, you're willing to talk about games that you're not willing to show, but you're not willing to talk about Zelda U, which you've already shown, and now you come right out after the conference in an interview on IGN and admit that you had footage you could have shown. It's really baffling to me, because if you have footage already recorded, because maybe, some months back they did plan to have it at E3 before they decided to scrap that idea, why say that now? Why not say, that, you confirm that it's still coming to Wii U, so people don't panic that, oh my gosh, I own a Wii U and I'm not going to get the game. You're going to get it. It still could come out for Wii U and NX. You didn't, squash that, as it were.
Could pull a Twilight Princess.
Yeah, it could pull a Twilight Princess. He didn't say that couldn't happen. He was just saying it will come to Wii U. So that's really for people who don't, who are day one adopters. So it's good to know you're still going to get your game. But it's one of those, when you say something like that during a big event that we're in right now, when the instant reaction is generally negative to the presser you just did, it really takes the focus that Nintendo doesn't know what they're doing.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I mean, what could have happened was probably just like he could have slipped up, and that's why they took it down. And I totally see that being a possibility, because we're all human. We all make mistakes. But when you're a company and you're that massive, and you've basically created the biggest mascot in gaming, obviously referring to Mario, or like you have all these other amazing first-party games, and like you don't, I screwed up. Let me just get my thoughts together for a second here.
While you're gathering yourself, Darren, I was watching this show, the digital event, and Reggie talked several times during it about how Nintendo's in a shift. They're changing themselves. And, I kept thinking, changing yourself. Okay, cool. So you're in a shift, you're doing the mobile, you got the NX coming, you're doing what, you're changing up your back-end platform, which they didn't really talk about. I'm sure we'll hear about it at the investors meeting. So Darren, I took that, and then I read this report on the Wii U Zelda game, and I was like, is part of changing your focus and changing yourself that if anything possible is going to be, let's assume that this game becomes a Twilight Princess, which explains to me why they didn't want to show it this year, because maybe the next time they want to show it on the NX. Do you think that this whole changing focus and changing what they're doing, if you combine it with the Wii U thing from Miyamoto here with Zelda U, do you think that it's going to basically be Nintendo admitting that we're kind of done with Wii U, and everything we're currently working on, the reason we didn't want to show it to you is because we're actually not going to screw up the launch of the NX, and we're actually going to give it a killer launch lineup, instead of, oh, let's get all these games out for Wii U, and then we have nothing ready for NX. Do you kind of think that's a direction that he's kind of talking about and shifting how they're doing things at the company?
Well, I definitely think Nintendo is slowly realizing that the Wii U, it's not the best console on the market as far as graphics-wise and sale-wise. You know, Xbox and PlayStation have outsold the Wii U by a lot. I think they're realizing that they need to focus more on the NX, like you were saying, and make it a killer launch. Make it the console everyone wants.
I agree with that statement 100%. When it comes down to it, yeah, I'm a big fan of game theorists, and I watched Matt Pat's whole rant on the Wii U compared to the Virtual Boy from way back when, and everything he said matched up perfectly. So back to your point, it would make perfect sense if they didn't want to release something on a failing console and like try to save it when it's already a lost cause. You know, like they're probably just abandoning ship as a company and focusing on the NX, which is probably a good decision on their part.
Yeah, that and HD development's expensive. You know, we've heard many stories about that. Obviously, Nintendo keeps their finances in check better than most companies, so they're not blowing, $150 million on a Mario game. But it's one of those things where I look at this digital event, and I look at what we just heard about Zelda U from Miyamoto, and I look at the Zelda games we're getting, and it just seems to me, okay, they're keeping the 3DS going strong because the 3DS is their moneymaker. That's where they're making their money, and they're going to continue to milk it as long as they can. But the Wii U isn't, and they know it. And they also know that games like Star Fox are not huge sellers. So there's no point in waiting for that game to come out from the next system because it's probably not going to sell any more on that system than it's going to sell on the Wii U as it is. And that might be how they're approaching all their games now, is that, yeah, some of these games, like Zelda for Wii U, might come out on Wii U still, but it's going to be their day one for the NX. And if you combine that with, okay, we have that day one for NX, we also have a new family game, whatever their new Wii Sports or whatever they decide to make is, or a Mario Party or something. Mm-hmm. And then they also have, say, a Mario Galaxy 3 and a Metroid game already within a 3-month window of that console launching. They're going to hit the ground running, especially if they nail the specs and everything else. If you look at the Wii Sports was the big reason it blew up, but the Twilight Princess at launch, that thing sold 7 million plus on the console. So if you want to look at the launch, that's 7 million copies that sold, that people bought a Wii to play. That's almost beating out the total sales of the Wii U. So it's kind of like, I think they're realizing that you have to hit the ground running, and if you don't hit the ground running, it's just not worth spending the money on.
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
So, I don't know, that's kind of my take. I know there's a little negative here at the end. I don't know that that's negative, though, is it?
No, I don't think so. I mean, it's sort of looking towards the future, but as far as this press conference goes, I don't think it was that successful this year. I'm hoping next year that they probably will have the NX ready, and we can all jump on that.
They're going to. The only reason I even brought up the NX is because, for some odd reason, Reggie himself brought it up. He said, "Yep, we have the NX coming. We're talking about it in 2016." That's the second confirmation that they're basically going to talk about it at E3 next year.
They want to drive up as much hype as possible.
Yeah, I think it's one of those, we have this coming, and I'm telling you this before we show off any more games because, I'm trying to buffer you. I'm trying to warn you that the reason we don't have a lot of Wii U games is because the NX is coming. I think that was kind of a subtle way of saying, yeah, the Wii U is just not doing well, so we'll do some experimental games on it, but we're all focused on the new stuff coming out. And 3DS, obviously, because since 3DS is still selling. Mm-hmm. All right, well, that ends ZI's discussion this week. It went a little bit longer than we wanted to, but hey, there was a lot that happened. This was our very first discussion, and it happened in the middle of an E3 event. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Be sure to check out ZeldaInformer.com for all of your latest E3 news on all the latest Zelda stuff. You can also check out our friends over at Gamnesia. They do a lot of coverage over there of everything. They've been all on top of the Nintendo news today. We haven't shared a lot of it to our Facebook page and Twitter because we've been too busy doing our own work. So, yeah, we will have some exclusive videos from the show floor. Hopefully a couple interviews, a podcast coming up that happened live at E3. We have lots of great stuff coming. I hope you guys enjoy this. Follow us on YouTube. And, hey, we'll see you next time they announce something Zelda. Come on, Zelda U, come on.